Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Man suspected of killing police officer in Portmore St. Catherine last week, killed by cops. MOCA distances itself from Darrell Vaz's U.S. visa saga. And later in sports, an invitational men's team is expected to replace South Africa in next month's Sunshine Series. I'm Anthony Lugg. Here are the details. Up first this afternoon, the man suspected of killing a police officer in Gregory Park, Portmore St. Catherine last week has been killed by the police. 21-year-old Giovanni Rodney, otherwise called Pim Pim, was shot dead during an early morning police operation on Delacree Lane in St. Andrew this morning. A firearm was allegedly seized during the operation. Rodney is originally from Portmore Villa. However, reports are that he fled the community following the killing of the cop and had been staying with his mother at the Kingston 11 address. Sergeant Averill McCollin was shot by gunmen while playing dominoes in Gregory Park. He died at the hospital. Day 7 of the Wandan gang trial failed to get off the ground in the Home Circuit Court this morning. When the proceedings began this morning, Chief Justice Brian Sykes indicated to the court that the witness was not quite ready. After a short break, Justice Sykes resumed the hearing about 11:22. He informed the court that there was an issue that affected the witness availability and that he would not give evidence today. The trial continues tomorrow. Controversial political activist Karen Cross has been expelled from the People's National Party with immediate effect. As Sandy Williams reports, the expulsion comes following breaches to the party's constitution.
On Monday, a meeting hosted by the Executive Committee of the People's National Party, PNP, ended with a decision to ban political activist Karen Cross from the party. Ms. Cross, who was a long-standing member of the PNP, is the chairman of the New Malines Group in St. Andrew. Acting chairman of the PNP, Horace Daly, says the committee's decision is based on a report from the disciplinary committee and in accordance with the party's constitution. He adds that the disciplinary committee cited more than 30 breaches involving Ms. Cross.
Very lengthy report. They looked at 31 breaches that Comrade Cross carried out against the party and against comrades in the party as anti-party activities. On the basis of that, they made a recommendation. The recommendation was that Comrade Cross be suspended from the party for 12 to 24 months, to hold no office in the party and to attend no structured meetings of the party. The executive accepted the report but rejected the recommendations and voted majority for the expulsion of Comrade Cross.
Ms. Cross has had many run-ins with the PNP, the latest being a protest outside the PNP's headquarters last Thursday. Mr. Daly says the party had no choice but to take strong action against her.
What the party is saying at this time, and as the acting chairman of the party, I have to say this to every single member of the party cannot continue as it was. You can't get up and say as you wish, post whatever you please, cuss who you want to cuss. There are procedures in the party for you to air your grouses.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica Donald Tapia is seeking to clear the air regarding the circumstances surrounding the reinstatement of Government Minister Darrell Vaz's U.S. visa.
Energy and Technology Minister Darrell Vaz's visa was revoked 2 years ago. But last Friday, news emerged that Mr. Vaz was issued a one-year multiple-entry B1-B2 visa. The visa contained an annotation that treats with suspected controlled or listed substance trafficking. Since the matter became public, there have been calls from the parliamentary opposition and other stakeholders for an explanation about the annotation accompanying the reinstatement. On Monday, former U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, said Prime Minister Andrew Holness had requested his office to review the allegations linking Minister Vaz to narcotics. In a release, Mr. Tapia stated that the Prime Minister's request followed the September 2020 general election, after which Mr. Vaz was promoted to Minister of Science, Energy and Technology. Mr. Tapia said, according to Mr. Holness, Mr. Vaz's new position would make him privy to various sensitive conversations, clearances, and duties that include traveling to the U.S. for diplomatic relationship building. The release further stated that a thorough background check was conducted by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the Jamaica Defense Force, and MOCA. He said the findings revealed that certain allegations made against Mr. Vaz were not factual. All files from International Narcotics and Law Enforcement, ICE Homeland, Drug Enforcement Administration, and other intel agencies within the embassy were also reviewed. According to Mr. Tapia, no evidence of involvement or connection of Mr. Vaz with narcotics or any other illicit activity were found. However, Mr. Tapia said the now Consular Section head advised that he could not recommend the marker on Minister Vaz's visa be removed under the assumption that Mr. Vaz would be a hinder to the U.S. Mr. Tapia said he does not agree with the position taken. He added that under his watch, a mistake was made with the revocation of Mr. Vaz's visa, and it is his desire to right this wrong. Based on the findings of the full review of all agencies, Mr. Tapia requested the reinstatement of Mr. Vaz's visa. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And in response, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA says since its establishment, no government minister or policymaker has ever given the agency any directive to investigate an individual. It said on the matter of the revocation of Mr. Vaz's United States visa, it never received any directive from, nor had any discussion with then National Security Minister Peter Bunting relating to an investigation into Mr. Vaz. Director General of the Anti-Corruption Agency, Colonel Desmond Edwards, says MOCA is unaware of what motives were behind the revocation. Colonel Edwards says MOCA remains an independent investigative body that is free from any form of external influence. To some COVID-related news now. At least one public health expert is this afternoon renewing his call for Jamaica to start the mix and match vaccination technique. Associate Professor at the School of Public Health at the University of Technology, Dr. Alverson Bailey, says this is one of the ways the country can reach herd immunity. Shamela Pullen tells us more.
Last week, Pfizer said the two-dose COVID-19 vaccine was safe and showed a robust antibody response in children ages 5 to 11.
This, in fact, will ensure that if children are vaccinated, that they can return to school. Therefore, as soon as we acquire sufficient vaccines in Jamaica, we should start vaccinating all those children that are suitable and eligible to be vaccinated.
But with Jamaica still uncertain about the next Pfizer shipment into the island, Dr. Bailey is suggesting that for the adults who are waiting for their second dose, the health ministry should do the mix and match technique.
I'm also suggesting for all those waiting for the second dose of Pfizer that they mix and match with AstraZeneca to attain full vaccination as soon as possible.
Dr. Bailey also says the government should use all health centers and hospitals as designated COVID-19 vaccine centers.
I'm recommending that a reserve team of healthcare providers should be mobilized to assist the Ministry of Health with the vaccination drive. All GPs are standing by to assist. Mandatory vaccines should be required for all healthcare and frontline workers.
Vaccines aside, Dr. Bailey says now is not the time for the government to be reluctant to enforce the COVID-19 rules.
But enforcement is absolutely necessary. And COVID marshals for crowd control and maintenance of COVID protocols must be deployed. The messaging has to be improved. The messaging must be targeted. And we must use family physicians and public health nurses to assist with messaging.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And COVID-19 has claimed 18 more lives, increasing the death toll to 1,859. 2 deaths were previously under investigation. Meanwhile, Jamaica recorded a 30.8% positivity rate on Monday, up from 20.6% on Sunday. The country recorded 312 new cases of COVID-19 from 1,341 test samples. The overall case count now stands at 83,342. 608 people are hospitalized with the virus. 42 of the patients are critically ill, while 92 are severely ill. 239 more people have recovered, pushing the total recovery count to 52,531. There are now 28,370 active cases on the island. And it's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to Midday News and thanks for staying with us. Almost 12 private healthcare facilities across the island can now administer the COVID-19 vaccines following a historical signing with the Ministry of Health on Monday. Cody and Barrett tells us more.
Citizens who want to get vaccinated can now visit one of 11 private healthcare facilities nearest to them to receive the jab free of cost. The government has employed the healthcare facilities to be an extension of the Ministry of Health's vaccination program.
We provide the vaccines free. They promote. We will help them to promote themselves, their locations. People go there or make appointments and they get their vaccination. First dose, second dose, as the case may be. In this first instance, the vaccines will be AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson. All the things that we do at the national arena or the other locations, these entities will have to comply with it. So it's not a different system. It's the same system, same standard, but additional outlets.
The private facilities are located in Kingston, St. Catherine, St. Andrew, St. James, and other parishes. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says additional private facilities are expected to come on stream soon. There have been several complaints from citizens about the long lines at the vaccination centers, which according to some can be a deterrent to taking the vaccine. Dr. Tufton says as the government races to have as many Jamaicans vaccinated, the private doctors are needed to bridge the gap. According to the minister, as of Monday, 728,000 Jamaicans have taken the vaccine. Of that number, majority of them requires a second dose.
That 499,000 will have to get their second jab. That's an immediate demand right there. They're all over the country. And we will continue with the fixed sites, but I suspect that you will pick up a lot of those persons who already have had their first. And so my anticipation and expectation is that we will move quickly up to completing that second jab, get those numbers up to 18 to 20% or so of the targeted population, which would be good.
The government is aiming to have 1.9 million Jamaicans vaccinated by March 2022. That's 65% of the population and just enough for the country to resume some normalcy, according to public health experts. Dr. Tufton is encouraging the private healthcare professionals to work with community groups to reach as many people as possible, even as the government continues its vaccination tours, aided by the mobile COVID unit. Cody Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
To other news now, efforts are still being made by stakeholders and residents in Portland to retrieve the body of a farmer who died while hunting wild hogs. O'Shane Masters picks up that story.
An unlikely death on a path which 65-year-old Ronald Franklin would have trekked on numerous occasions. Franklin, a farmer of Bonneview in Portland, was on the hunt for wild hogs in the hills of Bellevue, the parish, on Sunday. An alarm was raised when he did not return home, and a search launched at daybreak Monday. A number of residents, including members from the fire brigade, made the 7-hour journey into the hills. That's when his body was discovered tangled in some vines from a tree over a precipice. However, due to the location of his body, they were not able to retrieve it on Monday. According to residents, they believe Mr. Franklin misjudged his step and fell over the precipice. PNP Councillor Caretaker for the Fellowship Division, Colin Bell, says he's surprised and shocked at the death of Mr. Franklin. He says the farmer is a veteran hunter and was one of the last people he expected to hear such news about.
To get the report that he misstepped and fall over one of those deep gully, very deep, because in fact the information is that he died before he did even get to the bottom. He was tied up by a whisk and he died. So it is really sad for the community. People are mourning, but one of the hard part about it now is that to get the body out of the hills, it's proving more than a bit challenging.
Head of the Portland Police, DSP Thorville Horton, says the location of the incident is remote, but he noted that it is common to hunt wild hogs in the area.
We heard that he fell over the area about
3 a.m. That's our information. We still have the members in the area trying to get him out of the vegetated area in which he had fallen. So we just await the additional support because the topography of the area is very steep. The area is very difficult to maneuver in.
Now, this Jamaica Defence Force helicopter has been brought in to assist the community in recovering the body of Mr. Franklin, but up to news time, it remained unclear whether it was retrieved. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
No, the Jamaica Defence Force helicopter, which was brought in to assist in the retrieval of the body, had difficulties, so that effort has been called off. And for the latest in the world of business, here's Cody and Barrett with the Business Minute.
Companies can now be automatically approved for their Tax Compliance Certificate, TCC. This can be done via the Tax Administration of Jamaica TAJ website. The new service allows TCC applicants to make their request online. However, the applicant must meet specific criteria to qualify for automatic approval. This includes having up-to-date TCC documents and tax returns. Since the system was introduced on September 3, 1,317 TCCs have been automatically renewed. And in business internationally, Goldman Sachs has cut its growth forecast for China as the country struggles with energy shortages. It now expects the world's second largest economy to expand by 7.8% this year, down from its previous prediction of 8.2%. The firm says as much as 44% of China's industrial activity has been affected by the power outages. The power supply crunch caused by environmental controls, supply constraints, and soaring prices has left some factories and homes without electricity. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
For the top regional and international stories, here's O'Shane Masters.
The Royal Bahamas Defence Force on Monday said it is seeking to remove an estimated 400 Haitian nationals from an uninhabited key in the Ragged Island chain. In a statement, the force said that it had been informed by fishermen on Sunday that a suspected Haitian vessel was seen partially submerged off Flamingo Key. The statement said that this latest incident follows the apprehension of over 500 Haitian nationals within the past week, adding that those individuals are currently detained in Matthew Town and are being processed by the relevant authority. 39 workers are trapped underground at a mine in northern Ontario, Canada. This after the system that transports the employees out of a mine went down on Sunday afternoon. Mining company Vale says the miners are stuck in a shaft at the Totten Nickel and Copper Mine in Sudbury. The company says it is in communication with the trapped workers and that they are safe. A rescue team plans to help them out with a secondary ladder system. No word yet on how far underground the miners are or how soon they will get out. Vale says it is doing everything it can to ensure their safety. And that's it for the top regional and international stories. I'm Shane Masters.
And it's time now for a break. When we return, we'll have your midday sports report. Renata Brown is standing by. Good afternoon, Mr. Brown.
Welcome back. It's now time for your midday sports. Now, an invitational men's team is expected to replace South Africa in next month's Sunshine Series, which will also feature host Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago. The world number 5 ranked South Africa withdrew from the series last week, citing rising COVID-19 cases in Jamaica. The series will see the Sunshine Girls returning to competitive action for the first time since January 2020. The series, which will be held in honor of Netball Jamaica First President Margaret Beckford, will be played without spectators at the National Indoor Sports Centre from October 9 to 23. The Sunshine Girls are also expected to travel to England for a 3-match series from November 28 to December 5. ISA President Keith Wellington believes that vaccination rates among students would be higher if teachers had more access to them via face-to-face learning. Wellington, who is also the principal of St. Elizabeth Technical High School, says a number of the football players on the under-19 team at his institution have already been vaccinated, but more face-to-face contact would have convinced others to get the jab.
I even think that where we are now would have been better handled if schools had access to our students face-to-face. I think
the influence would have been a lot greater. And I think I dare say that the hesitancy would be less because, students and children, young teenagers have influence on their families. And if we as school have influence on them, they are going to go home and have discussion with their parents. And, I think we would have helped.
It's a President Keith Wellington there. Now at Sports Time, Italian champions Inter Milan were locked at 0-0 with Shakhtar Donetsk in their Group D UEFA Champions League game. In the other early kickoff, Ajax were leading Besiktas 1-0. In the 2 p.m. games today, Real Madrid will host Sheriff. Atletico Madrid are on the road against AC Milan. Dortmund host Sporting. And RB Leipzig are at home against Club Brugge. Also today, Porto host Liverpool, while last year's beaten finalists Manchester City travels to Paris to play PSG. A former head of corporate communications at the then West Indies Cricket Board, now Cricket West Indies, Imran Khan, is dead. Khan, who was a director of communications in the opposition leader's office in Guyana, died this morning from COVID-19 complications, according to health officials. It was only Sunday that Khan took to social media thanking persons for their prayers as he was recovering in hospital. And finally, Sunil Narine struck a decisive 21 runs off 10 balls as Kolkata Knight Riders boosted their Indian Premier League playoff hopes with a 3-wicket win over Delhi Capitals in Sharjah. Now chasing 128, Kolkata were struggling at 96 for 5 before Narine hit Kagisa Rabada's 16th over for 21. He fell with 6 needed, but Nitish Rana, 36, saw them home with 10 balls to spare. Shubman Gill had earlier made 30. Delhi made 127 for 9 with captain Rishabh Pant and the returning Steve Smith both making 39. And that's it for your Midday Sports. Anthony, it's back to you.
Thank you very much, Bernardo. And that's the Midday News. I'm Anthony Lugg. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.